Hello, everybody. This is Donald Blomdahl, Hall of Fame veteran, sports cards and collectibles, coming to you with another episode of our Hall of Fame inductee video series. This is the 1991 Hall of Fame inductees for the year of 1991. We have 5 inductees for 1991. It is Rod Carew, Fergie Jenkins, Tony Lazzara, Gaylord Perry, and Bill Veeck. Bill Veeck is an executive, so that's why I don't have a baseball card for him. Usually, executives and umpires sometimes do not have baseball cards. There are some unique situations where they did make some, but most of them I do not have. So without further ado, we will get into this lesson here for this Hall of Fame Fridays. All right. Please take a gander at my community page and you will see changes. You will see a change in my About Me tab too, as far as my new schedule coming up starting next week. So just stay tuned to that. But without further ado, we will get into our first inductee, and that is Mr. Rod Carew here. He is our first inductee up to bat here for 1991. So we've got Rodney Cline Carew, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. Primary team was the Minnesota Twins, and he was a first baseman. He has no weakness as a hitter. Anything you throw, he can handle, said Catfish Hunter. For a generation of American League Baseball fans, Rod Carew was the definition of batting champion. The owner of a .328 career average and a 3,053 hits to go along with seven batting titles and 18 All-Star Game selections. Carew tormented pitchers with a smooth swing from a crouched stance, using incredible hand-eye coordination developed as a youth in Panama. Born October 1st, 1945 on a train in the Canal Zone and named for the doctor who delivered him, Rodney Cline Carew used a broomstick and bottle caps as his first bat and balls before moving to New York City as a teenager. Carew did not play high school baseball, but he was spotted by Minnesota Twin scouts on a semi-pro team and was signed as an amateur free agent in 1964. As a big league rookie second baseman in 1967, Carew hit .292 with 51 RBIs, earning an All-Star Game selection and winning the American League Rookie of the Year award. The next season, Carew hit .273. The last season Carew would finish under .300 for 15 years. Carew hit .332 in 1969 en route to his first batting title, helping Minnesota win the inaugural American League West crown. He was hitting .366 in 51 games in 1970 before a knee injury sidelined him for 3 months. After hitting .307 in 1971, Carew reeled off 4 straight batting titles, missing a 5th in 1976 by .002. The next year, Carew had his best season, flirting with the magic 400 mark for most of the year before ending up at a .388 with 239 hits, 128 runs scored, 100 RBIs, and the American League Most Valuable Player award. Carew hit .333 in 1978 to win his 7th and final batting crown, then was traded to the California Angels prior to the 1979 season. In 7 years in California, Carew, who moved to first base in 1976, led the Angels to their first 2 American League titles in 1979 and 1982, batting .294 with the ALCS for California. Carew remained an active player through the 1985 season, reaching the 3,000 hit milestone that summer, becoming the 16th player to join that exclusive club. In 1990, he became the 27th player elected to the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. He doesn't have to prove anything, said Twins manager Gene Mauch. During that magic summer of 1977, all he has to do is retire and wait for the Hall of Fame to call. He could move the bat around as if it were a magic wand, said Ken Holtzman, who was a pitcher. So his career at a glance, he played in 2,469 games, 9,315 at-bats, 1,424 runs, 3,053 hits, 445 doubles, 112 triples, 92 home runs, 1,015 RBIs, 353 stolen bases, 1,018 walks. He had a batting average of .328, an OPS of .822, an on-base percentage of .393, and a slugging percentage of .429. So there you have it, folks. Rodney Cline Carew, our first inductee for the 1991 Hall of Fame inductees. Next up to bat in our 1984 Topps card format is Fergie Jensen. Fergie Jensen? Jensen. Why'd I say Jensen? Jenkins. Fergie Jenkins. Ferguson Jenkins, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. His primary team was the Chicago Cubs, and his primary position was pitcher. One of the best pitchers in baseball ever, said Cubs manager Leo DeRocher. Fergie Jenkins, originally signed with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1962, but didn't find great success until the Chicago Cubs took him out of the bullpen and converted him into a starting pitcher 5 years later. In his first year as a starter in 1967, the right-hander notched 20 wins to go with a 2.80 ERA and 236 strikeouts. He tied for second place in the voting for the Cy Young Award. The following year, he again won 20 games, had an ERA of 2.63, and struck out 260 from 1967 through 1972. Jenkins won 20 more games each year, striking out more than 200 in every season. Averaging 314 innings pitched, he also threw 97 complete games over that span. Fergie's best single-game performance came in the 1967 All-Star Game, when he struck out 6 of the top sluggers in the American League: Harmon Killebrew, Tony Congelario, Mickey Mantle, Jim Fregosi, Rod Carew, and Tony Oliva. The best years came in 1971, when Jenkins was the National League Cy Young Award winner. He went 24-13, throwing a complete game in 30 of his 39 starts. Walked 37 and struck out 263 and 325 innings. Jenkins also became the first Cubs pitcher and the first Canadian to ever win the Cy Young. In 1974, with the Texas Rangers, he had a career-high 25 wins and became the first baseball player to win the Lou Marsh Trophy, an award given each year to Canada's top athlete. He was inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in 1987. Jenkins led the National League in wins 2 times, complete games 4 times, and had the fewest walks per 9 innings in the league 5 times. That right-hander is one of only 4 retired pitchers in Major League history to record more than 3,000 strikeouts with fewer than 1,000 walks. As a hockey, basketball, and baseball player growing up, Jenkins eventually found a focus, but never completely gave up the other sports. In fact, he played with the Harlem Globetrotters during the baseball offseason on multiple occasions. He is just a super pitcher. It's a treat just to play with a guy like that. He has great stuff and great control, but best of all, he is a competitor. He pitches from behind as well as anybody I've ever seen. He never gives up. Chris Cannizzaro. Here's his career at a glance. He played in 664 games, 4,142 hits, 1,853 runs, 4,500.2 innings pitched, 284 wins, 226 losses, a winning percentage of .557. Games started 594. He had an ERA of 3.34, complete games 594, with 49 shutouts, a 1.14 whip, 7 saves, 1669, and earned runs, walks 997, and strikeouts 390. So there we go. There we have it. Our second Hall of Fame inductee, Fergie Jenkins. Fergie Jenkins. All right. Our third one up to bat now is Tony Lazzeri. Tony Lazzeri. I happen to have a Cooperstown second base for New York Tony Lazzeri card. So that's why that one looks that way. It's not a normal, it's an actual a set that Panini did back in the day. Kind of show you the back a little bit. You can see it is a Panini product. And I'm pretty sure this is from, 2013. I believe they made a set in 2012, 2013. I'm trying to get a hold of, I believe they made one in 2011. But it's a little bit bigger set. I do have, I believe I have the 2013 and the 2012 sets for this Cooperstown collection. Okay, so without further ado, let me get into Tony Lazzeri's Hall of Fame inductee information. Tony Lazzeri, Anthony Michael Lazzeri, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. His primary team, he was a New York Yankee, and primary position was a second baseman. Tony not only was a great ball player, he was a great man. Yankee shortstop Frankie Crosetti. He was a leader. He was like a manager on the field, arguably the top second baseman in New York Yankees history. Tony Lazzeri played for the franchise 6 American League pennant winners from 1926 through 1937. He had a batting average of .293 with 115 home runs during his 12 seasons in pinstripes. Lazzeri, though, temporarily quit baseball in 1923. When he was a 19-year-old, he grew disillusioned with being shuttled back and forth between minor league posts. He secured regular play with Salt Lake City of the Pacific Coast League in 1924, and with the same club in 1925, the San Francisco native enjoyed a season for the ages, batting a robust .355 while setting a PCL records that still stand with 60 home runs, 222 RBIs, and 202 runs scored. Lazzeri played in 197 games that year. Sorry. Shouldn't do this at night. The Yankees parted with $50,000, though some accounts go as high as $75,000, and 3 players to acquire Lazzeri in August 1925, and the 22-year-old rewarded them instantly with a fine rookie season in 1926. He belted 18 home runs, a total he would match 3 other times but never surpass, while holding down the Keystone and finishing 10th in MVP balloting. The New York lost its top 1926 World Series to the St. Louis Cardinals in 7 games, with Lazzeri batting 5 for 26 at 192 and coming up empty with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 7th inning of Game 7. Lazzeri struck out swinging on a 1-2 pitch from future Hall of Fame right-hander Grover Cleveland Alexander, 39 at the time. Alexander's heroics preserved the Cardinals' series-clinching win by a score of 3-2, though he just as easily could have found himself on the losing end. 1 pitch earlier, Lazzeri launched a ball out of Yankee Stadium, but just foul. Lazzeri secured some measure of redemption by playing well in his next 5 World Series appearances, batting .291, slugging .494, and belting 4 home runs and 79 at-bats. The Yankees won all 5 series in convincing fashion, dispatching the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1927, the Cardinals in 28, Chicago Cubs in 32, and the New York Giants in 36 and 37. Lazzeri closed out his career with a partial season for the Cubs in 1938 and the Brooklyn Dodgers and Giants in 39. He fell off Baseball Writers Hall of Fame ballot in 1962 after 15 years, finally gaining election via the Veterans Committee in 1991. Around New York, I used to hear that expression, once a Dodger, always a Dodger, Lazzeri said. But how about once a Yankee, always a Yankee? There never was anything better than that. You never get over it. Around New York, I used to hear that expression, once a Dodger, always a Dodger, but you know about it, once a Yankee, always a Yankee. There never was anything better than that. You never get over it, said Tony Lazzeri. So for his career at a glance, he played in 1,740 games, 6,297 at-bats, 686 runs, 1,840 6,297 at-bats, 986 runs, 1,840 hits, 334 doubles, 115 triples, 178 home runs, 1,191 RBIs, 148 stolen bases, 869 walks, a batting average of .292, an OPS of .846, an on-base percentage of .380, and a slugging percentage of .467. So there you have it, our 3rd inductee, Tony Lazzeri, inducted in 1991. Moving on to our 4th inductee now. This is a different, unique card that I wouldn't normally feature, but I had a bunch of these ones, so I figured I'd use this one. So this is Gaylord Perry, when he played with the San Diego Padres, Donruss Greats. Okay, show you the back of the card here. Kind of gives you his career, basically. Looks like he played with the San Diego Padres in 1978 and 1979. He played with San Francisco Giants, the Cleveland Indians, the Texas Rangers, the San Diego Padres, Texas Rangers again, the New York Yankees, Atlanta Braves. He even played with the Seattle Mariners in 82 and 83, and then ended in 83 with the Kansas City Royals. So there you have it. Gaylord Perry is our fourth inductee into the Hall of Fame for 1991. Oops, I got him a little bit too close there, Blonde. I'll put him back on the mark here and get him in the right spot. Oh, that's why I kind of scooched my keyboard a little bit too much there. All right, Gaylord Jackson Perry, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. Primary team was the San Francisco Giants, and his primary position was a pitcher. Gaylord was fantastic, simply fantastic. His contributions were even better than the records show, and they show plenty. He was such a great influence on the younger players. Perry was far away the best pitcher in the American League, said Cleveland Indians president Gabe Paul. Gaylord Perry was also the best pitcher in the National League. He was the first to win the Cy Young Award in both leagues, and winning in 1972 with the Indians and in 1978 with the Padres. He mixed an outstanding repertoire with a spitball, real or imagined. His reputation for doctoring the ball preceded him, and some speculated that it was not so much the spitball itself as the threat of it, which played with opposing batters' heads. I watched Gaylord like a hawk, said umpire Bill Haller. I never found anything. I'll tell you what he's got: a good curve, a fine fastball, a good change, and a fine sinker. I'll tell you what Perry is. He is one hell of a pitcher and a fine competitor. For his part, Perry played two-type. He would fidget with his glove, touch his cap, belt, glove, or pockets repeatedly, and play both with the hitters and with his reputation. Despite constant surveillance, he was not ejected for doctoring the ball until 1982, his 21st season. Gaylord debuted in 1962 with the San Francisco Giants, and his breakout season in 1966, when he carried a 20-2 record into August before cooling off to finish 21-8. He pitched a no-hitter at Candlestick Park in 1968, shutting out Bob Gibson 1-0. Perry was traded to the Indians prior to the 1972 season and won his first Cy Young Award, leading the American League in wins with 24 and completed games 29. He was joined there in 1974 by his brother Jim, who won 215 games to his brother's 314. They trail only the Necro brothers in total wins, 539 to 529. So during their full season together, they recorded 38 of the team's 77 wins. Gaylord Perry, who pitched for 8 teams in 22 years, was traded in 1978 to the Padres, where he won the National League Cy Young Award at age 39. Going 21-6, he won his 300th game for Seattle in 1982 at the age of 44. Perry, a 5-time All-Star and 5-time 20-game winner, won 314 games and notched 3,534 strikeouts. The trouble with baseball is that it's not played the year round, said Gaylord Perry. His career at a glance: He was in 777 games, 777, 4,938 hits, 542.542 runs. I don't know why that's 0.5. It's probably supposed to be 542 runs, 5,350 innings pitched, 314 wins, 265 losses, 542 winning percentage. He started in 690 games. He had an ERA of 3.11. He had 303 complete games out of his 690. 53 shutouts, 1.181 whip, and then 11 saves, 1,846 earned runs, 1,379 walks, and strikeouts. So there we have it, folks. Our fourth inductee, Gaylord Perry, into the 1991 Hall of Fame. And here comes Sally's favorite type of card. I know, I'm just kidding, Sally. I know you're going to be watching this video. But at least, as Sally would say, at least he's got a smile on. Bill Veeck, okay, is our fifth and final inductee into the 1991 Hall of Fame. His primary team was with the Chicago White Sox, and he was a executive. All right, William Lewis Veeck Jr., inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. His primary team, the Chicago White Sox, and his primary position is executive. So he was the man who brought the midget to home plate and explosives to the outfield of Comiskey Park. But beyond the flash, legendary owner Bill Veeck's open-minded approach brought positive changes to the game of baseball. Veeck was just 4 years old when his father, sports writer William Veeck Sr., was named president of the Chicago Cubs. As a teenager, the youngster Veeck wanted to learn about team management while he worked multiple jobs as a vendor, ticket salesman, got distracted there for a second. Sorry about that. As a teenager, the younger Veeck learned about team management while he worked multiple jobs as a vendor, ticket salesman, and junior groundskeeper. In 1941, Veeck partnered with former Cubs star Charlie Grimm to buy the AAA Milwaukee Brewers, arriving in Milwaukee with just $11 in his pocket. Veeck put his creative mind to work, and he gave away live animals during Brewers games, scheduled morning games for night shift workers, and staged weddings at home plate. 5 years and 3 American Association pennants later, Veeck sold the Brewers for a $270,000 profit. After a stint in World War II, during which he lost his right leg, Veeck sought a path to the major leagues, devising a debenture stock group that enabled financial backers to put the majority of their money into loans for them. Again, Veeck was able to become a minority owner of the Cleveland Indians for only $268,000 in 1946. Relishing his first chance in the big leagues, Veeck immediately enlivened a franchise that hadn't won a World Series since 1920. He hired a clown, Max Patkin, to be coach and put the Indians' games on the radio. Veeck also staged a good old Joe Early night for a fan who complained that the Indians were honoring everyone except the average Joe. In 1947, Veeck made his biggest imprint to date when he signed Larry Doby as the first African-American player in American League Baseball. One by one, manager Lou Bordeaux introduced me to each player. Doby recalled. All the guys put their hand out. All but three. As soon as he could, Bill Veeck got rid of those three. The following year, Veeck signed 42-year-old Negro League legend Satchel Paige, making Paige the oldest rookie in Major League history. Later that fall, the Indians completed their transformation by winning their first World Series in 28 years. Never a man to look back, Veeck famously buried the Indians in 1948 championship flag in 1949. When it was clear the team was not going to repeat, an expensive divorce settlement forced him to sell his stake in the team. Veeck reemerged 2 years later when he bought the struggling St. Louis Browns franchise. Though the Browns shared Sportsman's Park with the more successful Cardinals, Veeck immediately ruffled Redbird's feathers by hiring former Cardinals stars Roger Hornsby and Marty Marion as managers. He also decorated Sportsman's Park exclusively with Browns memorabilia. Though the stadium felt more accommodating, the Browns still struggled out of the gate in 1951. Anxious to attract more fans, Veeck came up with arguably his most creative public publicity stunt. What can you do? I asked myself. That is so spectacular that no one will be able to say I had seen it before, Veeck recalled. The answer was perfectly obvious. I would send a midget up to bat. On August 19, 1951, a 3-foot 7-inch man named Eddie Gaedel walked to the plate as a pinch hitter for the Browns. Wearing a uniform number 1/8, Gaedel used his minuscule strike zone to draw a walk on 4 pitches. He was promptly replaced for a pinch runner at first base, completing his day as the shortest man to ever play in the major leagues. The next day, American League President Will Harridge denounced the stunt as a mockery of the game and voided Gaedel's contract. I try not to break the rules, but merely to test their elasticity, Veeck would later say. 5 days after the Gaedel stunt, Veeck was at it again. He introduced Grandstand Manager's Day, in which fans were given placards that told manager Jack Taylor whether the team should steal a base, bunt, or change pitchers. With Taylor sitting back in a rocking chair, Veeck and the fans skippered the Browns to a 5-3 victory over the Philadelphia Athletics. I have discovered in 20 years of moving around a ballpark that the knowledge of the game is usually inverse proportion to the price of the seats, Veeck said. Attendance doubled for the Browns, even though the team remained in the cellar from 1951 to 1952. But despite Veeck's best efforts, the Browns' financial issues, coupled with increasing pressure from opposing owners, forced him to sell the team to a group from Baltimore after the 1952 season. Veeck was back in baseball in 1959 when he bought controlling interest in the Chicago White Sox. Later that year, the White Sox captured their first AL pennant in 40 seasons and set a team attendance record with 1.4 million paying fans. True to form, Veeck immediately made his mark on installing baseball's first exploding scoreboard at Comiskey Park and adding players' names to their uniforms. Poor health forced Veeck to sell the White Sox in 1961, but he returned to the owner's box at Comiskey in 1975. His elder years in view of full public, he was the man who encouraged announcer Harry Carey, a future Ford C. Frick Award winner to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game to the Chicago faithful in 1979. Veek saved his most explosive promotion for last when he hosted Disco Demolition Night, an event that caused a riot at Kaminsky and forced the White Sox to forfeit a game to the Detroit Tigers. I'm not trying to break the rules, but merely test their elasticity, as we said earlier by Bill Veeck. His career stats: as an executive, he was inducted in 1991. His primary team was with the Chicago White Sox. He was an executive. He was born in Chicago, Illinois in 1914 and died in 1986 in Chicago, where he lived most of his life. So there we have it, our fifth and final inductee for the 1991 Hall of Fame inductee video series. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that, and hopefully you are having a great day out there. Hopefully everything is going good for you. I want to just check on one thing here real quick. Before I do close things out, let me move Bill Veeck back here, so Sally can rest at ease that her Tombstone Hall of Fame inductee is off on the side now. But look, Sally, he's smiling just for Sally. He's smiling just for Sally. So yes, so we did have that. I don't have any family mail call packages, and this will be a recorded video. If I would have gotten something today, I probably would have opened it up, and that way I could have had a family mail call package for Friday. But we will see if we do get anything next week. If we do have anything come in the remainder of this week, it would most likely be opened on one of my next videos next week. I'll probably be doing my my lives in the first part of the week. I probably will do some baseball card ones. We'll see what comes up for sure. But just wanted to just kind of close things out here. I'll turn the camera around real quick so you see that it's really me here. Before I do say goodbye to everybody, let me turn the camera around. You can see me here. So this is Don Blomdahl, Hall of Fame veteran sports cards and collectibles, having come to you with another Hall of Fame inductees video series for the 1991 inductees. So you guys have a great and wonderful day, and we will see you around the channels, okay? Bye for now. Take care, and thank you very much for your faithful support. Bye now.